video is a week's worth of art, including pottery and painting figures. You have to motivate yourself somehow to draw figures, right? So for this time, we're going to spice things up by asking my friends and family to pick a color. Hey there, can you pick a color? Pick a color. Great job! And the color that they pick is the color that I'm going to have to paint my figure with. I haven't drawn with these watercolors in so long that my palette is dusty. Like, what? What? Don't let your palettes get dusty, guys. So our first color ended up being purple, and I'm pretty happy about that because I have a really cool idea of how I'm going to make it work. And this was my first time painting with watercolors, and when you start anything new, you kind of have no idea what you're doing, and it takes your all just to keep going, right? So this is the sort of stage that I'm in now. I found that if you just paint in shadows, you'll get there eventually. And yes, it takes a leap of faith because, you know, you don't want to go as dark baby as it says you should in the reference photo. But once you do and you just follow that, your painting will come with you. I'd like to thank you for clicking on this video, and if you're liking it so far, don't be shy and boop the like button. I mean, it really helps me know which videos you like and what you want to see. And also, while you're at it, could you please leave a comment down below? It really helps with the algorithm. It could be any comment. Just a comment, that's all. Thank you so much. To make this drawing more interesting, I decided to add in this a yellow color, which I think is a complementary color to purple. And what do you think? Doesn't it make this whole drawing unique and really pop? If you paint with watercolors too, you probably know that once your first layer dries, you suddenly realize that things need to be a bit darker than they were before. So that is what we're doing right now. We're coloring in the darkest points even darker, and then we're done. Well, that didn't work on the first try. Welcome to the pottery studio. Let's make some pottery. So we're starting off with centering our piece, which is just this process of coning, and then we're opening it, and then we're pulling the walls, which is your favorite part. I know it is. And then it's time for shaping. And this is when really the life of the vessel kind of comes to life. So I really like this angled pottery pieces. I really like them. I don't know, they strike a chord within me, but they're pretty hard to make that angle and to make sure it's sturdy in there, right? So it won't crumble on you. But I think I did pretty fine with this little thing. So we're starting on our second one, and yep, I still didn't get it in the middle on the first try, so we're working on that. And now we're continuing with the coning, which is putting it in the center. So same process as before, but when the shaping is when things start to get a little different. So with this one, I wanted to kind of go in with, you can see me going round and wide, and it's kind of like the opposite of the first one, but similar at the same time. And so right now, my pottery studio mentor is showing me how to make a wet measurement of the lip of the top of my piece, because we're gonna be making lids. What? For the first time ever, we're gonna be making lids, so you'll get to see my first. Now, I loved this way of taking it off the bat, and the bat is like the thing that you saw me just take the piece off of, and it really helps with warping. I don't know what these things are called, but yeah, they really make a game changer, because I wouldn't be able to pick that stuff off with my hands, right? we're back from the pottery studio. Now we're going in with another figure drawing, and this one is a more forward-facing pose, as you can see. And with the thing I'm learning now with figure drawing, the second figure, is that simple shapes go a long, far way. And as an overthinker, you can't help but just notice all the muscles and all just how complex the human figure is. But when you think about it, it's just like the torso is a triangle, then you have another triangle, then you just have the legs. And to not let your mind do its own analyzing and just let your hands do their own thing. Because if you consciously are like, whoa, what is that? Then, it kind of you kind of get confused and you kind of start second guessing yourself. So don't second guess yourself. You kind of know what you're doing, and the more you do it, the better you'll get. So you gotta make bad art to make good art. So we're going in with green, and nobody told me that nobody chose green. When I asked people to pick a color, nobody chose green. So this one is going to be green because I kind of like the color, that specific color green. It's like this neon, right? Don't you think? So so we're just going in, and like we were doing before, we're seeing simple shapes and we're not overthinking it. Now, I want to tell you just the why we started drawing these figure drawings. And if you know me and my channel and you've been here for some time, you'll know that we're more, this is like, our comfort zone is portraits, so not figures. And the more you start to get tired of doing sketchbook studies, and the more, eventually you start to have ideas of paintings you want to do, and then you realize you don't have a certain amount of skills yet to get there. So one of them for me was figures, just drawing the human body, and it had too much mystery around it, more than I kind of wanted to accept. So that is why we're drawing figures, because I have a ton of ideas and of painting ideas and just going big, and I am so looking forward for you to see that and just sharing my process on that. So that is why we are drawing figures, and I guess it's really going out of our comfort zone, because honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. And not really knowing is totally fine too, because when you think about it, when you don't have a preconception or of just what things are going to be and what they are, that's kind of when you're surprised the most and when you learn the most, really. You can see me right now trying to draw in some pink, not pink, but just red onto the skin where the highlights are, similar to what I did with the purple, with the yellow and the purple on the previous one. But then I saw it, it didn't work. So that's kind of an experiment, and that's what I mean by not knowing. Now we know what doesn't work, right? Even if you do fail. So thank goodness it's watercolor though when it came up, because Today is a trimming day at the studio. So trimming is when the piece is leather hard, and that's when you basically trim off whatever is extra on the piece, and that's kind of where you refine the shape more. So that's what we're doing here. We're taking off the extra clay with trimming tools, which are these sharp things you can see. And so this is going to be more of an angular thing. And it's really satisfying, but you can also easily lose your piece if you go a little too deep and you can trim a hole into your piece. It's so hilarious how in almost all forms of art, right? There's this sort of fine line between beauty and then destruction. So you're constantly on the balance between, do I add a little more or could I mess it up? With this thought process sort of going on in my head, I decided not to trim the top of the piece because that would just take longer, and I wasn't up to that at the moment. So what can you do in that kind of situation? You just carve the top out. We're on to the third figure of this. What was that voice crack? That sounded so bad. Could you pick a color?
Why?
The color that you draw with, that you pick is the color I have to draw with for a video. Yeah, so choose wisely.
I don't know which one.
You don't know, just pick one.
I like both.
Oh, you like both, but could you pick one? Close your eyes and pick, do eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tiger by its toe. If it hollers, let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Right now, you're probably like, Adar, why are you going in with blue? The kid chose orange. What are you doing? But hold up, let me explain. I'm going in with the blue because I have this really cool idea of just, if you look at shadows, you'll notice that they're actually a really blue color, and a lot of painters paint their shadows in blue. But I was always pretty skeptical about this, and I wanted to give it a try. So today, that's what we're going to do. And the skin is going to be orange though. And because I think orange and blue are a really pretty combination, color combo. The skin, it's like skin against the sky, it's really cool. And that's why we love those photos so much. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. That is why I'm using blue. And blue and orange are a great combo, and you'll just see how it turns out. I can't wait for you to see it. The biggest difficulty on this one is just like how dark can we go, right? Just that sort of problem. And I was constantly sort of thinking ahead with the orange color, and I wasn't sure, do I overlap the blue and the orange, or do I just have blue for the shadow? I don't know. And the more I went into it, it was really experimental. That's what I could say, really experimental. After we went in with our darker layer of orange, that's when things started to more or less come together for me, and we can now see that, things aren't going so downhill. They're okay. You can see me do a ton of tweaking with this piece, and as we said before on the first figure that we drew together, it's the simple shapes that count, and if it weren't for that mindset, I wouldn't have gone through this piece. I just wouldn't have gone through with it. It wouldn't have worked out, because all those small little shapes, they might seem like so, it all matters, I was literally about to declare this piece done when I realized he's floating into space. I forgot to color in the boxes, right? So that is what we're going in right now. And I was just like laughing at myself this whole entire time. Like, how could you forget? What? That's what was off. I took a much larger piece of clay than I usually take, and you can see me struggling so hard to get it in center. It's like jiggling me all over the place. But anyway, today is lid making day, and we're going to be using a technique called throwing-off-the-hump, which is when you center the main body of clay and you just leave it up in a sort of cone-ish shape. And once it's centered, you can just throw off the top. And then you cut it off and then throw off another off the top. And it kind of makes an opportunity for you to throw multiple pieces. And when I mean throw, I mean like making stuff on the wheel. It's called throwing for some reason when you don't really throw anything. You can see me making my second lid right now. See me measuring with that blue thing? And that's just measuring the width of the lid, because I want it to fit on my piece, right? On my little jar thing. And so now we're cutting it away, and yeah, that's my second lid. As you saw, the clay ran out, so we're going in with a new hunk of clay, the same centering process, And we're going on with my next couple of lids. And the first two were for my second more round piece. It's a little bigger than the angular one, but these next ones are going to be for my first one, the first one you saw me make. So I'm cutting away at the width, and as you can see, and this one actually I made it pretty fast, and I was actually really happy with it. And it died. And that, my friend, is what happens when you do not turn off the wheel and you start to take your lid off of it, but you do not turn off your wheel first, right? So the main thing in pottery, though, is on working on a wheel, is just to turn off the wheel. Just turn it off. Now we're starting on our next figure, and this one is hanging onto a rope or something. It was so hard to draw, just so hard. Okay, hi, could you please pick a color? Okay, thanks. It matches your shirt. Okay, take two. Hey, pick a color, any color. The color that you pick. Okay, go do one more time.
3 days later.
You know that feeling where you really know you have to do something, but you just really don't have the inspiration to do it? Well, that's what I was feeling with this fourth figure. And whenever you feel uninspired to draw, going outside really freshens your viewpoint. I have two reds in my palette, so together we are going to choose which one is the one we're going to paint with for this figure. The first one is cadmium red, and it's more into the like red tones. And this one, I forgot the name, but it's also a red, and it's more into like the pinkish sort of way. So I just settled on cadmium red. Give this video a thumbs up if you agree, and I think it turned out pretty cool. After painting and drawing 3 other figures before this one, I could feel the benefits right away on this one. Mainly just how fast you start to identify the shadows, and just how much more easy the whole process is. And you get more confident too, because you already know what you're doing at this point. If you paint or do any form of art, what is your favorite part? Like, why do you do it? So for me, what I really love is that moment when you sort of get into that mindset where you can't think of anything else. Just, you're so focused that all you're thinking about is where the next brushstroke is gonna go. And the same thing with pottery, I feel. And it just really helps clear your mind. And even if the preparation takes forever, and just the whole process of sitting yourself down to do your art might take like some effort, in the end, I find it really worth it. You feel like you get up and you feel just so it's like you meditated, really. You're just so relaxing. And I can't say it's without its own struggles, of course. You do have those moments where you're like, oh, I messed up, right? But, overall, it's a really cool experience. And I guess that's what just brings you back to creating again and again, because at the end of the day, you have such a cool piece to look back on, right? And even if it isn't that as good, you have something to show for your efforts. Let's trim some lids. So we're starting off with this donut shape of clay, and let me tell you, trimming lids is a whole nother ball game. When you're used to trimming cups and bowls and just stuff you sort of, there's this whole, you have like this sixth sense of how far you can go, but with lids, it's so easy just to cut through. At least that's what I found. And I lost multiple of them just trying that out. The craziest thing though is that when you feel like it's gonna fly off the wheel, because there's not that much leaving it secured on there, right? Except for that donut where it's just sitting there. But once that donut starts drying out a little bit, that's it. And we have our 2 lids, and look at our jars, they're so cute. Okay, moving on to our 5th and final dude that we're painting. And this one, I'm choosing to do it with purple because that was one of my favorite color combinations with the purple and the yellow. Comment down below which color combination was your favorite of this whole series, and or which other which color combinations you like in general. With this one, it's just this culmination of everything that we've learned together throughout this figure drawing challenge that we've been doing. So we're drawing in the darkest areas of our figure, which is by now like second nature. Also, it was so hot. I was painting this outside, and I'm not kidding, I was just dripping sweat while painting this outside. It was so hot. I don't know why I just decided to choose the hottest day of the week to do this outside. But yeah, now I remember. That was hilarious, and I had to take multiple breaks. Like, I would go inside to the AC, and I'm like, whew, okay, we cooled off, back. No, we're coming out back again. And so, yeah, that was the whole process. You're probably wondering just about how long each drawing took, and I'd say it took me about 20 minutes to first do the sketch, and then another 20 to 30 minutes to paint it all in. How long does it usually take you to do these small sketchbook studies? I find that it actually takes me, I was actually surprised that it actually altogether, 20 plus like 20, it took me like 45 minutes, like in general, to like from start to finish. For me, it usually takes much longer than I expect. If there's anything we've learned throughout this entire video, it's that you can achieve whatever you set your mind to. Drawing is like a staircase. An endless one. You just climb and climb and climb, and sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder, sometimes you have to take a rest, but it's just every step is a part of like the overall journey.